welcome to my channel. Stacy Ace here, and we're going to be talking about the third veil today in this video. This is where we access the fifth dimension, and I just want to make a quick note here. We all have access all the time. When I talk about the veils, I'm more talking about how we have more control as to when and where. It's kind of like we've all heard, when it rains, it pours, and so when we implement control, now we can decide. We have more. This is coming more from an empowered state. When we remove these veils with intention, this is coming from a place of empowerment. So instead of things pouring, that is a negative thing that's pouring, when we use law of attraction with the removal of the veils, now we have control as to when it rains and pours and if it's a negative or positive thing, because this is all about intention and creating our reality, right? So when we are able to access the fifth dimension deliberately, when we can do this deliberately and stay in this dimension deliberately, now we can have manifestations. Bippity boppity boo is more of so it's fun. And we're not living in 3D consciousness unaware that we didn't have this magical power this whole time. So I just want to make that clear that I'm sure we've accessed the fifth dimension and we're like, God, today's really awesome. My stars are aligning, like everything's going in my favor. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that we had a high vibration, we had good intentions, we were a manifesting machine that day, and just didn't realize that we had this amazing gift, that it's our birthright. So this is why there's so many teachers explaining in different ways so that people can grasp it and connect the dots and realize that we all have this innate ability. And so that's why I'm talking about it from the lens of veils, because this is the way, this is my point of view. This is the way I'm trying to show my students that they have complete control as to which dimension they're in, when they're in it, and it has a lot to do, of course, with our frequency, our vibration, and the way we think. Our beliefs are so powerful. So when we maintain this vibration with intention, with awareness, with heightened awareness, we're able to manifest what we want, and maintain this wonderful, wonderful frequency. So yeah, this isn't going to cover everything that we'll see, because this is the third veil and beyond. So I'm going to keep this simple, just 3 veils in these 3 videos, because beyond the third veil there's more than just 5D. It goes on and on and on and on and on infinitely. The possibilities are endless. So anyway, but these are the ones I discovered. They're not all of them, but these are some main ones that I discovered on my journey, and some of them are more recent than others. But anyway, it's just kind of a starting off point, just to know what we're getting into here. So healing frequency. This is something that we won't really have access to in the third dimension. We won't have access to this, when we're operating in with that first veil on. And it's because we're in a lower frequency, we're in a lower vibration. And when we're in a low vibration, we tend to have a cup that's not full, right? So we have to heal from a full cup. And that full cup is attained by not drinking, abstaining from alcohol, abstaining from toxic foods, toxic people, toxic media, social media, all that stuff that gets us like, ugh, So not to say any of that's terrible, it's just that it is if we're trying to access the fifth dimension. So here, it's not that none of that exists, it's that we have this layer of protection around us, and we're able to remain in this empowered state, so that now, since this is of course an imaginary bubble, but it's there, it's depends on your belief system, really. This is where we want to remove limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs don't exist in the fifth dimension. In the fifth dimension, we are more of the I believe it and then I see it mentality, not I have to see it to believe it. That's third dimensional. So this is all about your belief systems and your imagination and believing in magic. That's a good starting off point. We don't want to be stubborn and skeptical and all that, because that's all third dimensional. The fifth dimension is limitless. We believe in I believe that an alien could walk through my door any minute if it wanted to. I'm like, okay, like I'm waiting. Have that kind of like child. That's why it's really good to embrace your childlike curiosity and wonder, because you'll start, the more you believe it, the more you'll see it. And so right now, on a personal note, I'm seeing more orbs now, and I'm seeing a lot of animal totem, and my dreams are becoming a lot more vivid and a lot more. My claircognizance is like on point. So I know when to take action. I know when to not take action. I know when to, listen to my higher self. I know when it's my higher self. So that level of discernment is there. And so anyway, moving on, we have access to being attuned to healing frequencies. So this is where Reiki practitioners would step in. And I'm not saying that a Reiki practitioner cannot drink, because the thing is they're attuned. So an attunement is kind of like, this is just one way to describe it. An attunement is like, they now have, it's almost like changing the codes of their DNA. So like now I'm attuned to golden light frequency. So now I can help, because I'm a Kundalini Reiki master. Now, since I have that attunement, it's like in me now. I can dial into that frequency and share it, channel and share it with somebody who might have maybe an emotional, maybe they're going through a breakup or something, and they need they can use some healing energy and healing frequencies. So now I'm just like a tool, so I access, from my crown chakra, and then channel it to the person who might be in need of emotional healing, right? So people who are attuned are just a vessel and tool to carry the frequency of healing. And so this person can operate in 3D, they can operate in 4D, and they can partake, but the thing is this is where our desires become less and less, is because this feels good. It feels good. It feels way better than a glass of wine to have this healing frequency within us. So why drink? We feel better than we would if we were drunk. So that's why in 5D you don't really want alcohol. You don't want cocaine. You don't want that, because it's like I'm already like beyond that. So there's nothing to chase. I already got it. And it's like right here, and it's not going away, and I don't have a hangover. So that's kind of why it's like, yeah, you want this, and you want to keep at this level. So if someone does partake, it's not that they're no longer attuned. It's just that in order to channel that frequency, it's going to be it's going to be a lower potency. So that's why a lot of practitioners would abstain for a certain period of time, so that they can have very potent channeling and be able to have a very successful session. So anyway, that's why I don't really want to drink anymore, just because it's like I already feel like, let's go dancing. I'm confident. I'm great. Let's go. So anyway, so we have access to healing frequencies, and there's many frequencies and consciousnesses that we have access to. So depending on what the person needs, then we'll access that, and it's just like dialing a frequency. Another example of attunement is, so when I first got my Tibetan singing bowl, I couldn't get it to, this is also covering intention here. I couldn't get this to work. I'm like, I play different instruments. I'm pretty like musically inclined. Like what am I not getting here? I could do this part, but I couldn't get it to do this. I couldn't, it didn't matter the amount of pressure I was putting. It didn't matter, like I was like cleaning it. I'm like, is there like, what's going on? And so I did some research, and the missing ingredient was intention. And so once I was like, okay, you and I are in a relationship now. Let's play. Then I was able to do it. And you want to play for me? So the other thing about this is it's not just the intention though, but now I don't have to focus so much on it because it's attuned. We've reached attunement. At least that's the way I see it. And so Reiki practitioners can also attune crystals and attune jewelry and attune certain objects. So now they hold this frequency. So that's really awesome, right? So it's a transfer. We could transfer that frequency to other objects and people, and it's a wonderful power. It's a superpower. We all have it. We all have access to this. So another thing we'll notice is that, and this is so important, and this is an important part of manifesting. This is what Neville Goddard talks about, like, insanely, that feeling is the key. Feeling is the key to manifesting. And so when we have that first veil on, we don't have our emotional quotient where it's supposed to be, our access to our emotions. So at least like we think we do, but that's part of the paradigm. We think we're feeling to like, I feel happy, I feel abundant, but it's like welcome to 5D, where when you feel it, it's like I feel so good. Like it's a whole other, it's a quantum leap into your emotional spectrum. So this is important for quite a few things: navigating through life and manifesting, and have access to your intuition more. So we're able to use our emotions as a compass, but it also helps us get closer to what we desire in life, what our higher self and our spirit desire. And so when we feel it on a visceral level, this is what Abraham always talks about, Abraham Hicks, when you feel it on a visceral level. So this is where a lot of people get tripped up in spirituality and consciousness and law of attraction and all that. This is not to do with intellect. This is to do with your extremely intelligent heart space and your intuition. So when we feel, so what's happening is we're able to feel the subtleties of life, very, very subtle. So energies, we want to feel energy. If we're an antenna and we're a vessel and we're all the things that we want to be when we're manifesting, right? When we're manifesting in this life, we want to be able to listen to the hairs on our arms, and the back of our neck. When we are wearing all the veils and we're in more of a 3D consciousness, we have that thicker skin. So the subtle energies, a slight change in the energy of a room, our antenna isn't fully erect. It's not really tapped in, tuned on. Tapped in, tuned in, turned on. I can't say it like Abraham. We're not fully tapped in. So basically we're oblivious. We're walking around oblivious to a lot because our level of awareness isn't there. So with this heightened awareness, every little subtle energy shift, we could feel it. And with that, so it's a combination of the subtleties of energy and frequency and vibration. And, all of those things, that the magnetic resonance of a person or a place, that's why, a lot of psychics or intuitives, when they walk past a building, they're like, nope, not going in there, or hallelujah, they'll not, like, yeah, I know it's going to be fun in there. I could feel it. And so everyone has this gift. It's just a matter of removing the veils. Right? So, and living that lifestyle. And then what's cool about it is once you've accessed it, you can go back. So we have this innate knowing now, like, oh, I can go back. I can go back anytime I want to, now that I know how to navigate back to it. So this is, talk about like the most empowering feeling in the world. You're like, oh my gosh, I had this access this whole time. I just didn't know how to get there. And so that's what I'm really hoping to share with people, is everyone has access to this. It's just about removing limiting beliefs, changing your thought patterns, changing your programming, changing your agreements. It's all about rewiring. I call it rewiring. It's not really rewiring. It's just changing the way we think and behave, and what we say yes to, what we say no to. All of that changes our paradigm, and when we change our paradigm and make it a lifestyle, then we have more and more veils to uncover, and then we're able to navigate through life and set intentions, and by really, really, really feeling our way through life. Feeling your way through life is something that our culture just hasn't, I forget what one exactly it was. I'll have to look this up again, but it's been heard, I've heard it many times. There was an era where we really wanted to celebrate our intellect and logical, rational mind. And that basically, it turned all this off, so that's why people are suffering more now more than ever, is we don't have that balance of ego and intuition. It's all ego. So when we have just ego, that's keeping us in this lower, denser 3D paradigm where we're riddled with fear, we're riddled with anxiety, we have a separation consciousness, scarcity mindset. We're scared of everything. We're very we're living in duality, So when we learn to balance this out by expanding our consciousness and feeling more than thinking our way through everything, and because when we're analytical, we pick everything apart, and that's when we spiral. So this becomes a superpower when we're able to bring in the analytical mind when necessary. We need to know, we need to investigate things, and of course, but I'm talking more about having the balance. We want to have that, and so we can't manifest without tapping in on some level to how we feel with it, So I'll get deeper in that in another video, but this is also where we notice that the quantum field. It's always there. The quantum field is always there. This is the fifth dimension. Another word for it is the quantum field, or the field of love. But this is where our prayers go. That's the way I see it. When we pray for something, like please, 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 please. This is where thoughts become things, and this is what proves that our intentions, our thoughts, and our beliefs are very, very powerful. Very powerful. I mean, now we even have the technology where we think something and we can make something happen. But this all takes place on a quantum level. And so this is where if you think about it too, this is where gossip and spells also take place. So that this is where it could be used in a negative way too. We of course don't want that, but this is where it's taking place. So when I say gossip, when we talk negatively about somebody, we're basically sending out a spell through the ethers, and then something bad can happen. So this is where this is why, I don't believe we should ever talk negatively about somebody, at least not longer for a couple seconds, and don't have a lot of meaning and intention in it. Because when we talk with hatred or negativity, we're sending that through the ethers, and it's not really nice. But when we send healing intentions through the ethers and through the quantum field, and that's prayer. That's prayer. And that's why when they say pray hard, or when we have multiple people in a prayer group, when we pray really hard and really intend for the healing, that frequency is powerful, and it will help people heal. So this is definitely something to play around with, and when it's for the greater good, and when it's for the greater good, our manifestations happen faster, and that's when we know the universe really has our back, And the universe, I'll talk about that in another video, but sometimes, so that this talks also about the law of attraction, how when we're on the wrong side of the karmic wheel and we're in a low frequency and low vibration, it will still deliver that too. You know what I mean? So that's where gossip comes in, and spell work, black magic, all that stuff. This is where it's taking place, is in the quantum field. So anyway, but that's proof. Our intentions are extremely powerful. Our belief systems are extremely powerful. And this is why we want to remove limiting beliefs. So, I always use the example of, I'm too old to do that. Oh, stop it. No, you're not. No, you're not too old to do something, or you're not too this or that to do something, or you don't lack the competence to do something. Not at all. No, it's just about focusing. We need discipline and focus, and the sky's the limit, and the universe will support us in that. Absolutely. So we also want to have our heart coherence in the fifth dimension. We're all about the heart, because the heart And this is where Reiki also comes in. We want to heal the heart and open the heart, because when we do, we lead with the heart. And when we lead with the heart, we can also receive. So this pertains to relationships. This pertains to money. This pertains to gifts. This pertains to abundance. When we have a lack mentality, that could typically keep our heart contracted, and we're like, we feel unworthy or undeserving, and that's all 3D consciousness. We don't need to feel that way. We don't. We just have to reach for better thoughts, have those positive affirmations, have your consciousness start to creep open and expand so that we can receive. We receive downloads, we receive gifts, we receive epiphanies, we receive love, we receive higher frequency manifestations, right? So try to get more in it's wherever there's a gap, that just shows where we need to do shadow work. So that brings us into shadow work, shadow integration. And I'm not going to go too deep into that, but this is just part of how the fact that we can manipulate energy, right? We can manipulate energy in 5D. But it's difficult when we have shadows, because shadows can block energy from coming towards us. So let's say we have a desire for a better job, right? But then somewhere in the shadow, there's an aspect of us that believes that there's a shadow of unworthiness. So we want to work on that shadow, because once we integrate that, once we face that, I call them demons, once we face that demon and sit with it and alchemize it and transmute it, transcend it, once we do some work with it, we feel lighter. We feel lighter. And then with that, we feel more deserving. We feel more worthy. We know what it feels like to have self-love. And this is an ongoing process that everyone on the spiritual journey always does, and there's different ways to go about this, breath work and meditation, Reiki, shadow work coach, which I'm thinking about getting. Actually, it's probably not a bad idea, right? We want to face our shadows, and this is something that is not taught in modern, mental health, in our mental health system or healthcare system. But it's something that I knew intuitively for a long time, that I needed to face my demons, but I didn't know how. And so I just kept reaching for the bottle, kept drinking, hoping and praying they'd go away. But my hopes and prayers weren't working because I wasn't having access to higher consciousness. I didn't have, my intention wasn't strong enough, and I didn't have the tools to heal myself. I just kept that wound open by drinking and self-medicating and getting those negative dopamine fixes, which wasn't solving anything. So the more we do our shadow work integration, the higher, the more our cup will fill. Our you can call it your emotional cup, your spiritual cup, your cup of fulfillment, that void we all can have. When we start to fill that with positive energy, then all these gifts, and then we have something to give. And then that's when it's time to maybe listen to, something that's like, I don't know, normally I'd say no gossip radio or none of that stuff. But, when you have a full cup, you're like, But when our cup is lower, then our subconscious mind is affected more with this stuff, and then our emotions are affected, then our vibrations affected. But when we have that full cup, things just kind of bounce off of us, and we're like, whatever, I'm healed, so you feel more magnetic, and so I always picture things bouncing off of me rather than me absorbing it. We don't want to absorb that stuff, so that's why I feel like there's a time and a place to binge watch Netflix. There's a time and a place to have a beer. There's a time and a place for that stuff. It's when my cup is overfloweth and all my bills are paid and all my passion project stuff is wrapped up, and I just feel like, now it's time. Okay, so this also gets us to a place where we can, when we do shadow work integration, this is where we can receive light. And shadow work can even be something like crying about something that you haven't given yourself the opportunity to cry about. Just we are all guilty of this. Like something that, and sometimes I've been there. Like I went years without crying, and I thought there was something wrong with me. Well, in a sense, there kind of was. I didn't know. I kept drinking about it. And so therefore repressing it, and it didn't have the time, it didn't have the opportunity to transmute. It didn't have the opportunity to alchemize. Alcohol will never help you alchemize. Ooh, I like that. It won't. It just keeps the wound gashed open. And so when we close that all up and integrate it and transmute it and cry about it, now we have more light, so with that light we're able to heal from the inside out and then start shining. And then, like, oh my gosh, stuff that was maybe buried 20, 30, 40 years down there, we just never had the opportunity to cry about it and really, clear that karma, clear that shadow, clear that part of us that, we kept repressing. Don't repress it. Embrace it. Like, this is part of me. This is what built my character. This is what made me stronger. This is a lesson I learned, and now I feel like more empowered from that lesson. And no matter what has happened to you, it didn't happen to you. It happened for you. That's one way to alchemize any situation. I don't care what it is. If you survived it, it happened for you. And this is how we start to change. So we start to shift the energy. It didn't happen to me. I'm not a victim. It happened for me. It happened for me to learn this lesson, And in that lesson, don't do the blame game. I learned not to trust him. No, I learned forgiveness. I learned compassion. I learned self-love. I learned that I can get through anything. That's the only way out, is through. We don't bury things, because when we bury things, we make ourselves heavier. And when we're heavier, we're in dense energy. We're in denser third dimensional energy. So anyway, this is, this can go, I can go on and on and on, but I want to keep this under a half hour. So anyway, this is just kind of the just the first little layer of 5D, where our possibilities are endless. Healing is endless. There is no anxiety in 5D. That's one indicator that you're not there. Is if you feel anxiety or depressed or uninspired. I'm not saying every single moment of every day you're inspired and want to jump off, shout off the rooftops that you're happy. But there's a lot of that. We do wake up every single day like, yes, gratitude. And this is where we feel gratitude. We don't think that we're grateful. We feel grateful. And that's the beginning of everything. That's the portal into the vortex where we can manifest what all of our desires. And just understand that everything does take time, but just hold on to our intentions, hold on to that high frequency and high vibration, and think about that everything, mental, emotional, physical, can all be healed as long as we hold on to that intention and maintain that high vibration. That is the equation to positive manifestation. And so 5D is like heaven on earth, and that's where the new earth is taking place. It's 5D. All right. See you on the next video. Bye. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share.